Hello everyone, we are going to be doing some streaming in Nomad today. Before I get started with any kind of streaming, I just want to make sure that this is actually working. So if you guys can just, I know there are some people in chat already, if you guys can just confirm that this is all good, and then we'll get started with this. All right, it is working, says Jude. Awesome. So cool. We are going to be sculpting today. I'm going to be sculpting a Predator, which is going to be a lot of fun. I'm going to be using Nomad for desktop, which is also going to be a lot of fun. I'm still fairly new to the desktop version of this, so I'm going to be a little awkward here and there, but that is okay. The desktop version is really cool. So it's really fun to play around with this. So I'm going to just be working on this guy here for a little bit, just for people to get here and for me to just get a bit warmed up. It's obviously a lot easier to sculpt on something like this than it is to sculpt on a brand new concept. Concept sculpting is one of the hardest things I know, so this is always just a little difficult. I'll also just be taking your questions as well while I'm in the stream. So whatever you guys have in your mind, I'll be going over that. Nomad is a fantastic software. It's such a fun piece of kit that I'm really enjoying. It's yeah, just generally really enjoying this software. I've been using a lot on Nomad. Nomad. I'm using a lot on the iPad, which is good fun. But it's really nice to use this on desktop as well. The desktop version is surprisingly good as well, considering that it hasn't really been advertised anywhere, and it's still fairly fresh. It's basically exactly the same as the iPad version, which is really cool. I've also ported some of my own brushes over here already. The brushes in Nomad are good, but the brushes I've made in ZBrush I think are just a little bit better. So they're pretty solid. The ones I'm using here would be the one from the FlippedNormals brush kit. Are more flip boxes going to come? Oh yeah, plenty more to come. The graphite one just finished, and we have some more cooking that will be announced pretty soon. So keep your eyes open for that. Keep your eyes peeled for that. It's a really fun software. It's such a nice sculpting feeling. This is something that most software get wrong when it comes to sculpting. It's really just nailing the core sculpting feeling. It's such a customizable software. What's the software? Is it better than ZBrush? It's not better than ZBrush. ZBrush is fantastic. This is called Nomad. You can see it up here. It's a very affordable software. It's a fantastic piece of sculpting software. It's been one of the leading sculpting software, art software on the iPad, which works really well. And now they've, I guess, well, the dev has now ported this to desktop as well. It's still fairly early as far as I know in terms of the desktop port, but it works really well. Like this guy here is entirely sculpted in Nomad. I think it can be a legit competitor to ZBrush if this is what if this is the direction they're actually going in, because it's missing some features at the moment, and obviously needs to be more battle tested and such. Yeah, this is for the iPad. It's well, this is on the desktop. I'm on desktop right now. It can't handle the same poly count as ZBrush, but it's pretty good. What I've been testing it to, like 40 million or something like that. It's plenty for most things. Yeah, Jude is saying that. My friend is saying the only thing they miss from ZBrush after moving to Nomad was a projection tool. Well, it's missing some stuff. Like as far as I know, it doesn't have VDMs or IMM brushes. It also can't export displacement maps at the moment as well. So there are definitely some things here and there. But at the same time, like even though it's missing some things, it still has a lot of tools that ZBrush don't have. Like for instance, you can texture paint in it to a different degree, where you can paint roughness at the same time. You have PBR shading, which is fantastic. Now I'm using the matte cap, but you can also very much use an actual PBR as well, which is fantastic. So you can change the lighting and everything for this. So yeah, this is great. It's missing a million features in order to actually rival ZBrush. It depends what you're using it for, right? Because for a lot of core sculpting, you don't need that many features in order to rival it fully. As in terms of like you need all the modeling tools and all that, like a lot of specific tools. But in terms of pure sculpting, like it's in a good spot. It's really tricky to rival ZBrush fully, but for what I'm using it for, it's great. Like I'm not gonna need it to do UV mapping or anything like that. I needed to sculpt, and I'm very much looking for an alternative to ZBrush as well. ZBrush is difficult. Is it better than Blender for sculpting? No doubt. There is I wouldn't even say there's a debate there. This is a much better sculpting software than Blender, and it's also fairly affordable. So it's a great sculpting software. The thing with Blender is that the sculpting is decent, but it's not great. It has so many quirks. Multi-resolution is not the best thing in the world. There are still weird bugs with undo. Like if you undo, it's gonna just take quite some time. Also discovered the other day that autosave doesn't really work in Blender at all. Autosave in Blender only works for object mode things. It doesn't work for sculpting or edit mode things or anything like that. One of the weird quirks. But in terms of actual sculpting, I don't even think there's any competition. This is a much stronger software than Blender for sculpting. But that's also the thing. That's for sculpting. It's Blender is obviously a much stronger software for other things than sculpting. I would say that it would be really weird if a specialized sculpting software like this would not be better at sculpting than something that's not specialized. Because Blender really hasn't had sculpting updates for years. So, I mean, I personally don't think Blender is a particularly good sculpting software. I think it's fine at best. I think it's decent, right? If you have a piece of cloth and you want to sculpt this up, sure, you can do that. And if you want to do a character, you obviously you can do it, but it's not particularly enjoyable. So I don't really use Blender for sculpting, to be honest. I think it's really lacking in so many ways. Where it's lacking is in a lot of features, like even layers, right? The layers in Nomad are absolutely fantastic. Really good layers. I mean, like I'm not paid or anything to by the devs here or anything. Like I just like it. So I'm just gonna be showing off Nomad here, and having no affiliation whatsoever with the devs. I just really enjoy it. So you can just see here now I'm doing a layer and turn this on and off. It's just nice. It just works. There isn't any. You don't really have the tech debt of ZBrush, because my God, ZBrush has a lot of technical debt. Yeah, even just for sculpting, you need surface noise, VDM brushes, and not to mention it doesn't have a C modeler like thing. Yeah, like that's fair enough. Like personally, I don't use C modeler. I use just regular traditional modeling tools for that. VDM brushes, absolutely it needs that. Surface noise, yeah, like depending on what you're doing, right? Like it depends on the workflow. I don't think it needs all the features in ZBrush in order to rival ZBrush. It really just depends on people's workflow as well. It's a feature-rich software. Yeah, obviously it doesn't have all the things, but also ZBrush has so many weird quirks and such in some tools that are so incredibly specific to ZBrush that even though they're fantastic in ZBrush, I don't think it's something necessarily other software should try to recreate as well. But yeah, I really don't like using CModeler. I know a lot of people really like CModeler. I personally can't stand CModeler. I think it's for me it's a really awkward modeling tool to use. I much rather stick to traditional modeling tools because I just have a lot more control that way. But that's of course, it's not even like, it's just down to personal preference, right? Whatever works. like CModeler is not a bad modeling tool whatsoever. It's just not my thing. I met somebody at an event who only works in Mudbox, dude. That's unhinged. Today, Mudbox is Mudbox is practically dead today. Like there really hasn't been any meaningful updates in Mudbox for years and years and years, which is a real shame because Mudbox has a fantastic basis. It just hasn't been used. It just hasn't really been updated in like maybe it's like 15 years or something since it actually has had any meaningful updates. Which is really a shame because I like a lot of things in Mudbox. I was really bummed out when they got acquired by Autodesk from Sky Matter back in the day because they practically just killed it off. Have you got any custom brushes for Nomad Sculpt? Yeah, the one I'm using now is custom. I have a few here actually. I have these are just ones I've basically ported from ZBrush. I have a rake brush here, which I really like. So this model here has been sculpted entirely Nomad using my custom brushes. So I have a rake brush. I have a round clay brush, which is pretty nice. I have a brush 2, which is you have the regular brush, but this one here, this is the one that ships with Nomad. I don't really like this one because it just goes. It's such a brutal brush. So I made my own one, which mimics more than one ZBrush. So you can see these two. One isn't better than the other. Again, it's just down to personal preference. But mine for sure blends better. Then I have my custom clay brush as well, which is this. It's a really nice clay brush, and I have my rake brush as well. I've also set up the hotkeys to mimic ZBrush more because I can't deal with two different kinds of hotkey setups. It's just a mess. The ZBrush hotkeys are also solid. I have no problems with that. One brush I really like here is the where's the crease brush? This is actually a really solid brush. This reminds me a lot of Dam Standard, and it does the job brilliantly. I really like this one here. Have you ever got into 3D Code at all? Nope, never used 3D Code. 3D Code seems like a really solid tool, but it's one of those that I never needed. I've never needed 3D Code because I had software I could always do what 3D Code needed to do. Oh, it has good retopology tools. That's cool. I had retopology tools that did the job really well. It has sculpting tools. Well, ZBrush did it as well. So while it seems like a really good tool, there was never any point for me to learning 3D Code. But yeah, absolutely, it seems great. How would you say Nomad compares to ZBrush on the iPad? I think both are mature pieces of software on the iPad. The ZBrush sure is missing some features compared to the actual desktop version, but I think ZBrush on the iPad is great. I think it's a very solid version of it. I made a tutorial on that. Like I was in the beta for that back like last year, and I made a tutorial on that as well. I think ZBrush on the iPad is great. It's just a strong piece of software. Nomad isn't better on the iPad. It's different. I still think ZBrush has the stronger sculpting as a pure technical sculpting tool. The brushes are really, really good in ZBrush. Sure, you don't have too many brushes here as well, which is fine. I don't really mind that I don't have. It's not the quantity of brushes, it's the feeling of the brushes. The brushes in ZBrush are just really, really, really good. They really nailed the feeling of the brushes back in a day, back like 20 years ago, and they just stuck the landing there like crazy. Nomad on the iPad is obviously fantastic as well. ZBrush is almost a little intimidating because it can do so many things. There's so many features in it. A big difference there is, of course, the price. You just can't compete on, like ZBrush can't compete on price at all. Nomad is, as a perpetual license, is cheaper than like a month of ZBrush. Like it's not even comparable. So that makes obviously ZBrush quite unappealing compared to Nomad. I have your ZBrush brushes, but would they work for Nomad, or do I need to do any special rework for them? Yeah, they're not going to work out of the box. Like the one I'm using here, this is the regular FlippedNormals build-up, or what it's called, build-up FN, and I had to modify this a fair bit to make this work. The alpha is still the same, which is here somewhere, and it still uses the same alpha, which is great. So this is the exact same alpha. I just had to modify it a fair bit to make it work, but yeah, I made it work. It's a good one. I still need to adjust it a little bit. There was something with the the lazy mouse here, that feels a little bit off. So it's not fully there yet, but it's like 90% there, I'd say. The thing I like about it is that ZBrush's interface, or the whole UX, is mad. Like, it makes no sense, which is also why they're updating that, right? I have no insights, I have no insider knowledge into this at all. I just know that they announced that they're updating it, and the UX it's not logical whatsoever in ZBrush. In order for even to learn how to save, you actually have to watch tutorials on it. But I've been using Nomad for a bit now, and I got my iPad like 3 weeks ago, and I've been using Nomad a fair bit, and I haven't actually watched any tutorials on it because I didn't need to. I just asked questions when I got stuck here and there. But the interface is so logical. You want to save, you hit save. Easy. You want to change the brush, you find an icon that looks kind of like a brush, and you modify some brush stuff, right? Here it is, and you change the brush settings. You want to change the mid value, change the mid value, just drag it here. If you want to change which brush you're using, just click on the brush. Like, it's just very, very simple. If you want to change your brush size, you just go here. You want to change intensity, go here. You want to sculpt inwards, just hold on the Alt key, right? Like, a lot of it is very similar to ZBrush, and the stuff that is different is, I would say, it's different in a good way as well. We're also going to be making more videos on Nomad for the channel as well, which I'm very excited about. Probably this week, unless something happens, I'm going to be making a first impressions of Nomad, which I'm really excited about. It's going to be a lot of fun. The move brush is also great, but also keep in mind, like, this is a desktop version of a software that has primarily been made for the iPad, and honestly, it's great. This is a, like I said, I was able to sculpt this whole guy here in, I don't know, like an hour and a half or something in on desktop here, just like playing around with it. So it means that I can actually get some work done. While on, like in Blender, for instance, if I'm trying to sculpt this, obviously I can do it. Sculpting is sculpting, but I'm not a happy guy if I'm sculpting there as well. You know, you can customize the ZBrush UI. You really can't. Like, you can obviously customize the actual interface to your own liking. Like, I'm not sure if I have ZBrush open here. I do have ZBrush open here. Of course you can. But the problem is, it's not the UI, it's a UX. It's the UX, the user experience, which is just absolutely mad. The way you figure out, like, the way I'm really learning every single time how insane the UX is whenever there is a new update and I have to learn the new features. Learning new features in ZBrush is extremely painful for me, because the way I think about it, the way I figure out if a software feature is good or not is, can I intuitively use this one, or do I need tutorials for it? Or, for instance, if I haven't used a feature in a while, do I remember how it's used, or do I need to get a refresher for it? In ZBrush, I need tutorials for so many of the features, because the way they work isn't really logical. While in a lot of software where it is logical, you don't have to memorize how to do it. You just do it. You just end up doing it. So it's not about, like, for instance, why are the menu items here alphabetical in the top? Like, it makes no sense. Like, it's not logical that the items here are alphabetical. Like, it should be used maybe around, like in Maya, for instance, where it's based around what you're doing. So you have rigging, modeling, animation and such, or it should be based around what's the most useful thing here. Like, there are conventions in UX that are just not being followed whatsoever, which is of course why they are, most likely why they're changing it. Do you ever look back on your tutorials and learn from yourself for software? Yeah, absolutely. This is the weird thing. When I'm searching for something, something I never knew how to do, searching for a tutorial, I find a tutorial where I'm showing a feature, how to do it. It's myself talking, and I'm like, oh man, I never do this. And of course I knew it, because this is me talking in the video. But that happens all the time. It's really weird. But it also makes sense. Like, you can take notes on stuff that you already know right now. You'll forget what you know, and you look at your notes to remember it. Just because I made a tutorial doesn't mean I know all the things. But it's a really odd feature when I'm literally explaining things to myself, and I think that I never ever knew this one. It's really weird how memory works in many ways. Particularly for specific features where it's settings you have to remember and such, then there's no way I can remember everything. So I obviously take a lot of notes on different things as well, but I also I also just forget things like everyone does. But yeah, it is pretty bizarre. Whenever I get really frustrated when this happens, when there is something I really can't figure out how to do. So I Google it, and there's a tutorial, and it's me who made the tutorial, and I remember the tutorial. Then I get frustrated because then I know there isn't an answer to it because I remember the tutorial and I know that the answer is not in that tutorial. That's also very frustrating. When I'm Googling it, I'm like, come on, this is a FlippedNormals tutorial. And I just know that then I'm stuck for some time. I'm just sculpting around now with this guy here, trying to just make some interesting shapes here. I don't really have any particular reference with this guy. I was going to sculpt a Predator, but I think I'm just going to get a bit warmed up now with Nomad. It's been a while since I've been using this one. Also, I'm not that familiar with the software yet. I'm more familiar on iPad, and that's where I've been using it the most. But on desktop, I haven't used it that much yet. So also it means I can take your questions as well. And also just a reminder that our FlippedNormals Black Friday sale just launched. So we have tons of products on sale now for our Black Friday. So check that out at FlippedNormals.com. And back to Nomad. Did you try any AI retology tools? Nope, I haven't tried that yet. The thing I like about Nomad is just how simple it is. It genuinely is such a simple sculpting software. It's simple, but it has a lot of power as well, which is really nice. I do need to tweak the brushes as well. Like if I'm continuing with Nomad, particularly for desktop here, I am going to have to go into every single brush and do some subtle adjustments here and there, because they're a little bit off. I think it's the one thing that's a bit off here is the lazy mouse. But also like the matte cap here, I just took this from ZBrush. This is, let's see where matte caps are. This is just straight up the same matte cap as I have, where is it? As this one here, matte cap, Monster Clay matte cap gray. And I just took this in here. I just made a sphere, and I took a screenshot of it and put it in here as a matte cap. So it works really well. It's pretty cool that you can just transfer this directly, because the default matte caps here they're fine, right? There's nothing wrong with the matte caps, but I just really like this one. Like there are some really nice ones here as well, but I just really like the default one. Oh, sorry, not the default one. I really like the one in ZBrush. This one is also cool. I like this one a lot as well. I really like using matte caps when sculpting instead of using PBR materials, because you can really see the model a lot better here. Again, of course you can switch to PBR materials. That would also be fine, but notice how much you're missing of the actual color. Sure, you can make it darker, but I can just see a lot better what's actually happening here. What software is this? This is Nomad. I'm so happy that this launched on desktop. It's really fun to play around. It's also something like $30-40 or something like that. Like it's really, really inexpensive, and that's for a perpetual license. I'm not sure where it's going to go in the future, of course, but currently it's a really good deal. Again, not affiliated in any way. I'm just excited about this. I just like to talk about things that I'm excited about. But yeah, we're using ZBrush for 19 years now, so I've done my time in ZBrush. I really like ZBrush. ZBrush is nice when it does what I want it to. The problem is that the amount of legacy stuff in ZBrush is pretty maddening. Like using layers, for instance. There's a lot of weird things with layers in ZBrush. The whole user experience is just not particularly user friendly for me. But I'm genuinely really excited about the update that they're going to do. I hope that launches soon. I'm also in the middle of recording a Kaiju tutorial as well. I'm not sure if you guys have seen this on my Twitter or Instagram or the likes, where I'm like 40 hours into recording a full Kaiju tutorial now. This is in ZBrush. So I'm using ZBrush for the sculpting, Blender for rig topology, Blender for UVs. I'm really happy. I was really happy that version 5 came out. I don't often switch tools mid tutorial, but I was not going to use version 4.5 for this tutorial, so I actually switched to version 5 for the mapping and such. And then Marmoset for baking, and then it's Painter, which I'm starting to record that probably next week, and then Painter for texturing, and then Unreal Engine for the final presentation and such, and then MetaHuman for the eyes. So I'm really excited about that. There isn't any way to vertex manipulation for hard surface work, is there yet? I don't think you have individual control over vertices here. I don't think you have like vertex, edges, and polygon tools here yet. I mean, I wouldn't be using sculpting for hard surface. I would be using hard surface tools for hard surface. Like if I was doing hard surface, I would just be sticking to Blender, to be honest, like with hard ops and all of those fantastic plugins there. Sure, some people really enjoy using sculpting for that, but I never have. I just like using old school hard surface tools. Also, because then I kind of get I don't have to read topologies afterwards. Sure, certain things would make sense to do in ZBrush, but it's just down to personal preference. For me, I just don't feel I have enough control in ZBrush. But some people like Morten, like business partner Morten, he enjoys using ZBrush for hard surface as well. So, you know, it's not bad. It's just personal preference. But I wouldn't be looking for a tool like Nomad for hard surface at all. I will be, if I was doing proper hard surface like this, I would be using plasticity or something like that, combined with Nomad. I think you can model the base in Blender for hard surface and then sculpt the normal map details in Nomad. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's been really fun as well. The last 8 months or so, I've been really going into real time and game dev. So I'm, like I said, I'm like 40 hours into recording a Kaiju tutorial for game dev as well now. It's more like a real time tutorial than a full on game dev. It is going to work for game dev as well, but it's more a generic. It's a Kaiju that's going to work for game dev. But I'm not going into we're going to have this exact poly count and deal with that. It's more just an awesome real-time looking asset that will work fine for game dev as well. One thing I really enjoy in Nomad is all the settings for the brush. It's just so easy to use as well. Everything kind of makes sense here. It's not hidden under weird obscure menus. It's all in one specific spot, which is really nice. Yeah, I want to show you guys the curve tool here. This is the coolest thing I know in Nomad. There are many cool things, but this is one thing I really enjoy. The tube tool, not the curve tool, the tube tool. This is just not even comparable to ZBrush. Like this is mad. This is such a cool tool. So it's very simple to use. This is what I mean. You don't need tutorials for this. So first you just make a tube, and then you just have a vertex at either end of this, and you just adjust them. You adjust the radius, and then you can click radius up here, and then you can do the back one. You can go into the side view. You can move this to the side like so, and then you can click in the center to add a new vertex, and you can change this to a B-spline as well, which just gives you a lot of really good control. And yeah, this is all live. This is fantastic. This is a legit one of my favorite things about Nomad, because it's crazy how often you need this. Like the horns here, for instance, are made with this. But even if you're doing a character, you can use this for the legs, for instance, and you can use this for hair and for things like eyebrows, eyelashes, or whiskers on a character. You can use this for all sorts of cool things. And then once you're done with this, you can even go in here and you can have individual control over each vertex. And then you can go in here and you can do that. And then you can do a mirror as well. And now it's mirrored and it's all live. This is just absolutely fantastic. In a completely different class to what you can do in ZBrush. Curves in ZBrush is really, really awkward. I try to avoid using curves as much as possible in ZBrush. You can, of course, use it, but you have to drag it out and it's not live. It's just really annoying. So this here is fantastic. This is more akin to how Blender works with curves, because you can do the same thing. It's just not as intuitive because you need to do this in multiple operations. But whenever whenever I need to do anything like this, I've been doing this actually straight up in Blender. Even if I'm just concept sculpting in ZBrush, I straight up just do this stuff in Blender because it's so much more intuitive, which is fantastic. I mean, I have no loyalty to any software. It's just tools are just tools for me. Right now, my primary cocktail of tools would be ZBrush, Painter, Blender, Marmoset, but I'm really not focused on specific tools. Like I have no affiliation to any of them. I just like tools. I just think 3D is cool, so I use whatever I think is best at the moment. I'm just generally excited about new tools, so that's why we're going to be doing Nomad as well. Also, we have to see how it goes, right? Like maybe Nomad is not going to be the tool I'm hoping it's going to be, or maybe I find some stuff in Nomad I really don't like, and then we're not going to continue with it. So then we're going to focus on other things as well. There's so many cool tools out there. So there's no limit to how much cool stuff we can do with the tools we already have. Like with Blender, Substance Painter, Marmoset, Unreal, you can really do anything, right? Like there really isn't a lot of things you can't do in terms of like game dev or in character creation with those tools. One thing I am missing in terms of an actual good tool is a good hair tool. I think that pretty much every single hair tool on the market just sucks. I think this is one of those things that we haven't solved yet. Sure, there are some good tools in Houdini and such with that. In Houdini, I really wish we had a good, properly GPU accelerated hair tool where you can just play around with hair the way you can play around with sculpting here. But we can't do that. Every single tool I've used is just it's just not particularly artist friendly for hair. It's very annoying. You can just validate this, and then we can subdivide this as well. So now we can have nice subdivisions, and yeah, now we have some nice horns. Isn't Xgen kind of fine? Still a great hair is a pain. Xgen is kind of fine, right? Which is exactly what I mean. The best tool we kind of have is kind of fine. It's one of those. Xgen is brilliant when it works, but it's also the most buggy tool I've ever used. It's such a displeasure to use Xgen when it's not working. It's so frustrating to use when it's broken, and it breaks all the time. Like even if you set up your projects perfectly, it still just tends to break. And if you don't know what you're doing, then you need to constantly, like you need to just check documentation and you need to learn how to set up an Xgen project, even though that's not how 3D should be. You shouldn't have to set something up in highly specific manners for something to work. If that is the case, it should really warn you about that. So Xgen is very annoying to use. It also hasn't been updated for well over a decade or something. But it looks good when it's there. But even so, it's like working with like steel wire, right? Like it's not artistic in any way. It's still very technical. Like with Xgen, you have to use expressions for stuff. Like it's just really, it's a production tool. It's not an artistic tool. So I'm waiting for some physics-based tool for hair that we can just play around with, but I see no indication that that's happening at the moment. ZBrush needs some competition to push innovation. Oh, absolutely it does. It really does. So I mean, also like even if you're a ZBrush cowboy and you just love ZBrush and you're never going to use anything else in ZBrush, there being a competitor is just good. Like there is literally no downside to there being a competitor to ZBrush out there. If Nomad can do that, I mean that's just great, right? Like what possible downside could there be to that? It just means that, I mean, competition in this market is just very good. It means that they might have to compete on price. They might have to compete on features. So any kind of competition there is fantastic. I will probably always use ZBrush and love to see new competition. I mean, like, yeah, that's great, right? Like it just means that, like, for instance, here the tube tool is so good. Like I was able to just whip out the horns here real fast like this, and hopefully that means that, you know, ZBrush might get something like that. Unless it's one of those things with ZBrush, the core of ZBrush is from the 90s, right? Like it's such an old piece of software now that it's hard to know even what works. Obviously, I'm not a programmer, right? But it's an old software. Here, for instance, is an easy comparison between ZBrush and Nomad in terms of the UX. What I mean, in order to switch between subtools here, or subtools are they're just objects, right? First, you have an actual interface for it here, like you have an outliner, and that's great and fantastic, right? So that's easy enough to use, and then you want to join something here. You can just join it. You want to select something, you just click on it. You just select it in here. But if you just want to go between them, you just click on them, right? In ZBrush, you have to alt click on them, and you have to know about that. You have to hit the N key to bring up all the subtools. Here, you just it would be like if you never used the software before, and you have to figure out how to switch between different ones. Probably you just click on it, and you're like, oh, yeah, that worked. Or you're like, there's probably some kind of system for it here, and you have it right here. In ZBrush, it's under Tool and Subtools. All right, why is it under Tool and Subtools? Like, why are all the tools under Tool? Right? It's such a weird way to build a software, and you can tell that's not how stuff is built now, because basically you can kind of tell how good the UX is if somebody's copying it, and no one is copying the UX in ZBrush. They're copying the sculpting tools, absolutely they are, because those are fantastic, but the interface is really weird, which is one of those really awkward things when I have to teach ZBrush, because you have to spend a lot of your time explaining, like, all right, yeah, these are the quirks, for instance, in ZBrush. Like, this shouldn't just be a bashing ZBrush video. Like, ZBrush is great, but the way you clear a mask in ZBrush is control drag outside a model. The way you re-dynamish the model is control drag outside a model, which it's literally the same feature. So you just have to learn that. While here, the way you dynamish here, you have a button for it, right? You have a different hotkey, you have voxels here. You can just voxelize it here. It's the same thing as dynamish. So it's just a little bit more intuitive. And if everything is a little bit more intuitive, that means that the whole thing is a lot more intuitive in the end, isn't it? Like, tiny changes here and there genuinely makes for a big difference. Is 3D character animation using only Blender a good skill to have, or a must in 2025? Well, it depends what you're asking here. If you're asking if every 3D artist needs to learn character animation, absolutely not. A character animation is a very specialized skill within 3D. Like, you basically, good character animators pretty much only focus on character animation. It's rare to see character animators who can do other things well, because it's such a specialized thing. But if you're asking if it needs to be done in Blender, well, most of animation today, at least the professional animation, is done in Maya. Like, the most rigging for games and for movies is done in Maya, and most animation for games and movies are done in Maya. And there is no indication that that's changing anytime soon. The tools are just more refined in Maya than it is in Blender. There are a lot of things that are great in Blender, of course, but rigging and anime are definitely two of those things that the standard there is just Maya today. What's the upcoming new UI for ZBrush? Well, they've teased it. If you go to Max on ZBrush on Twitter, or their social, maybe on Instagram as well, I haven't seen it there, you can see a teaser for it there. It looks like it's more comparable to the iPad UI, which is a simplified version of it. Like, for instance, the iPad UI or the UX on iPad, as far as I know, edit mode is gone. I'm pretty sure there is no edit mode in on the iPad, which is fantastic. Edit mode is one of those legacy things that, there's no point in edit mode today. It was back when it was a 2D Illustrator app, but today that serves no purpose. It's sad what happened to Modo. Yep, very much. Modo was one of those tools that was so far ahead of other modeling tools, or just general 3D tools in many ways, when it started getting popular, and then the Foundry acquired it, and then they didn't. I'm not sure what happened there, but they didn't know what to do with it at least, and they killed it off. What, 6 months ago or so? Not well. You can still get it, right? I don't think you can buy it, but Modo is free now for 10 years or something, so you can use it, but will be no updates to Modo. I'm bummed out about that because I really wish they would just open source it or sell it off or something. I don't actually see the point about just leaving it be dead. One thing is when you have software or competitors like Autodesk, they bought XSI or Softimage, and then they killed that. At least that was a way to consolidate their tools. Like, they killed off the competition, and now people use 3D Studio Max or Maya instead, which is pretty much what happened, right? You didn't really have a lot of competition to that back then. But the Foundry, they don't have any other 3D software. It's not like people are going to use Nuke or Katana instead of Modo. Like, it's just gonna be dead, and the users are just gonna. The users have in large part, as far as I know, moved over to Blender. I've seen some people have started going to Cinema 4D as well, but I really think a lot of people have moved to Blender from that. I see a lot of them on Twitter, where I see a lot of old, familiar faces from the Modo community now being in Blender land, which makes sense. It's probably the most similar tool to Modo. Is Nomad coming close to ZBrush? Okay, it depends what you want to do, right? Like, when I sculpt this guy here now, and this hasn't taken very long to do. This is just sculpted from a sphere, and it's comparable in terms of the speed I'll be able to use this for, right? Like, one thing, for instance, which is a bit annoying here is you have zero remesher here, or like quad remesher. It's the same algorithm. It's exactly the same thing. For the iPad, it's something like $15 or something. Like, it's not a lot, but if you want to buy it for desktop, it's a lot more. So if I'm using, I think I actually quarter meshed this guy here, or zero meshed it, but I did it in a ZBrush, then I just exported that out. So that's just a bit annoying, right, to do. I think I'm actually going to get started with a different tool here, or a different project, so that we can save this one, and then we can start something new. Create a new scene. So I can just show you the approach for doing this. I'm going to import something, and I have a base mesh here that we can use. There we go. We can use this one here. This is one I've been using for. This is one I've been using for in ZBrush. It's one of the default ones from ZBrush, but I've been modifying this a fair bit as well. Here you can see how I've been customizing the interface, by the way, or the hotkeys. I have my same hotkey for symmetry, same hotkeys for brush size as well, which is great. So yeah, I'm really enjoying this. It's also really fun it's fun. It's really easy to customize the interface or the bindings. You just have a whole list here, and you can just change everything here. So this is really nice and easy. So I want to change the intensity. Yeah, I actually couldn't remember the intensity. I had a hotkey. I set a hotkey for this, but I couldn't remember it, so that's a Z key. So I'll show you my approach for sculpting something, right? I was going to sculpt the Predator here from Predator Badlands, but let's see what I do. I might just play around with this and see where it takes me. Are you making a Nomad sculpting course? Probably at some point. I haven't. I'm still so fresh to Nomad that, and I'm still in the middle of my Kaiju course as well. So I haven't had really time to think about that yet. I just got my iPad 3 weeks ago as well. So obviously this is on desktop, right? But even so, I'm still fairly fresh to just that. So yeah, probably at some point. For sure, we're going to do YouTube videos for Nomad. And if we see that there is actually interest in Nomad, then we're probably going to be doing some courses for that as well. Just got an iPad last week. Nice. Which one did you get? I got the both Morton and I, we got iPads. We got a refurb from Amazon. I at least got it from Amazon in the UK. It's that was actually a brand new iPad as well. I'm just getting my tech refurb now. I see no reason to get that new at all. It's so much cheaper, and there's such diminishing returns on tech now. I got a new phone as well, and just refurb. Just no reason to get anything new in my opinion now. But I got the M4, the iPad M4, and it's brilliant. I really like it. Nice, you got the 13-inch M5. Yeah, I have the 13-inch M4. Absolutely great. Really like it. Yay, Nomad support from Flipped. Yep, I'm excited about it too. So I'm just playing around with this now, seeing what the design. I do have a Predator design on my second monitor now, but I may or may not go for that. I actually don't know where I'm going to go with this. I'm just kind of playing around. One thing I actually like is the default clay brush. I actually think this clay brush here is a very competently done clay brush, which is a really high compliment to the chef. This is really hard to design a good clay brush. It's a bit of a weird one because it has a very hard alpha, but I actually don't mind that it has a really hard alpha. It produces really solid results. But yeah, I will have to figure out the spacing, the stroke intensity here, because there is something. If anyone has any ideas on how to make the lazy mouse here, if I'm doing this now, the tail is just a little too long, and I really can't figure out an actual way here apart from just setting the spacing lower. But that doesn't really seem to fully solve it either. So if there is like a good setting for this, that would be appreciated. Would your sculpting course also work using Nomad Sculpt on the iPad? If I were to make an iPad or a Nomad Sculpt, I might actually sculpt the whole thing on the iPad. I'm not actually sure, but regardless, it would definitely work for that. The cool thing about ZBrush though is that there's such an ecosystem for sculpting there. So if you're in the Nomad world now and you want to learn how to sculpt, I would just use ZBrush tutorials. Sure, the interface is different, but the sculpting techniques are all there. Also, just speaking of, I just want to give you guys a reminder that our FlippedNormals sale is live. We have a lot of really cool ZBrush tutorials actually a lot of them made by yours truly. So one here I really recommend. I'll just actually send this in a chat. There are two here actually. This one is cool. This is a brush kit, which is this is like $1. it's really affordable. This one here is really nice, but it contains 3 brushes that I use a lot. And then we have Intro to Sculpting as well. This one here covers a lot of sculpting concepts, like general sculpting concepts, and this is 50% off now as well. So check this out. It's pretty cool. 158 ratings. I'm really happy with this one. This is one of the courses I'm the most happy with. So you check the second link that I'm sending now. And you can just check this out here as well. After years of Windowsing, I'm now all in on Linux and thinking about buying the Mac Mini. The Mac Mini is such a crazy machine. I haven't used it myself, but the Apple products now in terms of like laptops and just the M series is just unlike anything I've seen before. I have a MacBook Pro M1 from 2021. It was just when they came out. Like we just invested in them. Everyone FlippedNormals, we just got some really nice new MacBooks, and it feels brand new. It's 4 years old now, almost 4 years old, and it legit feels like it's a brand new computer. I've had used laptops for years, right, and I've always been on Windows, and those Windows laptops, well, after 4 years, they would actually not work anymore, which is it's just crazy. Sure, a laptop should work after 4 years, but the fact that it doesn't work at all afterwards is nuts. But the fact that the MacBook is legit feeling like brand new after 4 years, that is unheard of. Completely insane stuff. I'm very surprised by the iPad actually. Of course, this is not the iPad. I'm on a Windows computer now. If I could never use a Windows computer ever again, I would. But for 3D, there's just no way around that. One thing that's cool here is if you check the wireframe, that the Dyn Topo here, which is Sculptus Pro, just a better name for it, I suppose, it works with the Move brush, so you don't have to use the Snake Hook brush. You do have a Snake Hook brush here as well, equivalent to that, but it works here really well. So, I mean, what the hell, let's do a Predator. Let's see how I'm doing on this. It's actually crazy how good the iPads have got. It's and particularly if you do refurb. I also saw now, I'm not sure about the rest of the world, but in the UK now, there are really good deals on the iPad on just Amazon for just for Black Friday. Just crazy how affordable they actually are compared to what you're getting. And since the M series on the iPad is, or the M processor is such a beast, you can actually go back a few years as well, and it will still be an absolute beast of a machine. Hey Logan, nice seeing you here. I didn't realize Nomad was a desktop. Well, that's one of the reasons I'm actually using it here, because people don't really know that it is for desktop. And like I just got an iPad 3 weeks ago, and that was the first time I really used Nomad in years. And then people were saying that it was on desktop as well, so I jumped on that as well. You do have to get a separate license for it, just as a heads up, but it's also very much affordable. So it's I think it's like $30 or something. It really isn't an expensive piece of software, and that's for the perpetual license, which is great. The M5 is coming. Are there any big changes to the M5? It seems like we have a bit of diminishing returns on the M series now, meaning that they've just absolutely made them close to perfect, and then they're I guess they're getting a bit better now. But again, like the fact that my MacBook is 4 years old and really feels like a new machine is absolutely mad to me. Yeah, let's just go with a Predator now. I'm not sure if Predators have ears. I'm gonna see if mine will have ears or not. I haven't seen the latest Predator movie yet, but I liked the last one. I thought it was a really fun film. Dan Topo. It would have been really fun to work on a Predator for a movie, but alas, that is not for me anymore. I think the shoot tool in Nomad is going to be absolutely wild for this character, because I'm going to have to do the hair as well, and the hair are just like these rastas, and it's going to be really cool to see that, to see what I can do with that. I am thinking a bit about the functionality here, trying to make sure that the jawline here is a separate piece as well, but also I'm not that concerned with it. I'm just thinking a little bit ahead. That's a cool thing with Topo, that you can do it. In what's cool in Nomad is if you hit the shift key, it just toggles between the smooth brush and the whatever brush you were using before, and you don't have to hold down the shift key. So that's quite useful in some cases. And I've also just set up custom hotkeys as well for the brushes here, so they're very similar to my ZBrush hotkeys. I'm watching Welcome to Derry these days. Love Pennywise. I watched a few episodes of this. I really like It. That's one of my favorite books. A crazy long book that was like 1,200 pages. I read it last year. I really liked that one. Really messed up. One of the few books that actually genuinely scared me. I died a few times. So that's a good thing, I suppose. So I'm just trying to get in some of the features here. Again, I have reference on my second monitor here. I'm just trying to get in some of these features. Nothing too crazy. Pennywise is an interesting one when it comes to sculpting, because it's a wacky design. It's one of those that I'm not even sure if it works as a pure sculptural piece. You might have to actually texture it as well to make him properly work, which means it's really awkward to sculpt him, because it's not going to work then until you actually texture him. But maybe I'm wrong there as well. Who knows? No PayPal for the desktop version of Nomad. I have no idea. I am not affiliated. I'm not selling Nomad. You just have to see what's available there. The I'm using in this sculpt here. Like I am a desktop now, but for my iPad, I've set up. I have the Pro, what is called the Apple Pro Pencil or something, whatever it's called, and you have the squeeze functionality, which is actually really cool. I'm using that for switching between going in and out, because I'm not using a keyboard with. So it's actually pretty handy. I really like the new Apple Pencil. definitely a bit spenny, but it is what it is. It's actually nuts how far behind every Android tablet is compared to the iPad. Like I was looking at an iPad years ago now, and I was seriously looking at Android tablets, and there's just no competition here. Like Apple have just completely cornered the market in that regard. I don't actually know why. It seems like for Windows laptops, Microsoft, or like not even Microsoft, just all the manufacturers have just dropped the ball, and same with the tablets as well. It really seems like that's something that they're just not they just don't take seriously as a market. So I'm just playing around with the design. I don't know if this is going to work or not. It's also really difficult to sculpt or not to sculpt, it's difficult to design and talk at the same time. So this design is going to be what it is. We'll have to see where it ends up with. But now I'm just straight up using default Nomad brushes. Nothing fancy here at all. Then we can do a voxel and see what works. What I like here when you're doing a voxel is this is of course the same fundamental approach as Dynamesh, but you can see the voxel size, which is really handy. I do actually like Dynamesh better. I think this seems to be the same algorithm as what Blender is using, and Dynamesh just has in ZBrush just has a better look to it. Not even better look. It's not about the look of the topology. It's the how gridded this is. While the Dynamesh in ZBrush is just a better one in my opinion. But this is still perfectly functional. That was one of the things I didn't enjoy in Blender when I was sculpting there. That the Dyn topo, or so the remeshing there, was just worse than ZBrush. But it's again perfectly functional. I'm just excited about new sculpting tools. I think that's just really cool. Yeah, only drawback is having to buy the zero mesher, but you have to use a perpetual license though. So yeah, the zero mesher, again, quarter mesher here it's exactly the same as in ZBrush. So on iPad you can buy it, you can get a pretty cheap version of it, but for the for desktop it's legitimately expensive. Like, well, depending on how you define it, it's sort of, well over $100. Which is significantly more than Nomad itself. So that's pretty funny. But if you already have ZBrush, then like even if you have ZBrush 2022 perpetual, you can throw it in there. But it is also a little silly to need a separate sculpting software for zero meshing, right? But you have projection tools in Nomad as well. It's one of those things. If I was doing this a lot in Nomad, I would have definitely bought the ZBrush or the zero mesher, quarter mesher here, but for what I'm using for now, I do have ZBrush, and I will have ZBrush for forever. Like I'm not gonna, I don't think there's a point in the near future where I'm not gonna have ZBrush. So that little 5-second extra bridge is not worth that money for me. I'm very impressed by how good the iPad is though for as an art machine. Completely mad. Again, I've only had it for a few weeks, and this is not the iPad version, this is the desktop version, but it's pretty crazy seeing how sophisticated that has got. Definitely need to move the eyes closer. Just disabling Dyn topo. Making them bigger as well, making the eyes bigger. I keep Maya just for Xgen. Yeah, I mean, it's fair enough. Particularly if you have Maya Indie, then at least it's fine. I really wish there was an alternative to Xgen out there. I like hair, like I mentioned before in the stream, if people are still here from that, I really dislike doing hair. It's such a displeasure. Even like the new Blender tools and such, they're just not there. They've just been getting significantly less tool than tools like sculpting tools. And that's not a Blender issue or something, that's just an industry issue that we still haven't really figured out hair. Hair is, like sculpting and texturing has been figured out now. Like 10 years ago, texturing was still quite painful. At least 15 years ago before Mari came around and Painter came around as well. Texturing was still quite painful. And then they solved that. And before that, making characters was painful because we didn't have sculpting. Then that was solved. And UV mapping now is a bit annoying to deal with, right? But we still have good tools for that. But doing hairs, we just don't have tools for hair that don't really suck. Hair tools should just be easy peasy. It should just be sprinkle on some hair follicles, let them grow, use general physics-based tool to control them. But that's not possible because no tool works like that, which it is just what it is. It also means that a lot of my characters are just bald because I cannot be bothered to sit with XGen because it's such an insane displeasure to use that crashy tool. I'm still amazed that Nomad is just one guy doing everything. Yeah, that's completely bonkers. It's so crazy that this tool here has one guy on it, and then you look at other tools and there are whole teams behind it as well. Absolute genius who was working on this. But it was the same with ZBrush as well. It was one developer for a long time, and which, as far as I know, set the foundation for everything. I bet Autodesk will buy Nomad and dumping Mudbox. Well, let's see. I hope not. I really, really, really hope not. All right, I'm going to make his jaw stronger as well. I'm really just doodling now. I don't really know entirely where this guy's going to go. This might be... like, I might never take this guy further. This. Again, still not sure if predators have ears or not. I'm going to leave them here for now. But let's see. This is my custom brush, by the way. This is the one I was talking about before, about the FlippedNormals brush kit that it's not available for Nomad yet. This is also the FlippedNormals Black Friday sales live. It's not available for Nomad yet, but it's not that tricky to port it as well. So I really like this one. It's a really fun little kit. It's this brush here, FM Buildup. So yeah, we have tons of cool little courses here as well. I really recommend Introduction to Anatomy as well, also 50% off now. Here I'll just go through everything, basically everything I know about anatomy in an artistic manner. A lot of technical stuff about how the anatomy works, and then forgetting about anatomy and focusing on how to actually make this, how to make anatomy artist friendly as well. Yeah, we're gonna be making a few YouTube videos for Nomad, which I'm really excited about. The first one is probably gonna be recorded in a few days by myself, and then yeah, we'll just see what it's like. It's not that difficult for us to port the brushes because all the hard work has been done. The hard work is figuring out what the brushes are like. I just want to get a bit more comfortable with Nomad first because I don't want to port anything until, like, if I know that. If I figure out that in like 2 months that there is something I can do that makes them much better, I'd rather just give it a second before I jump the gun and just doing something that's inferior. It's really important to me that the stuff we put out is really solid. And right now I'm like 80% sure I can do it. I can do a solid job, but like I was saying before in this stream, I'm still working on improving some of the brushes here. So just want to give this a hot second. Are you doing a game character course? Yes, I am. I'm working on a Kaiju tutorial, which is really fun. Let's see if I can actually show this. So the brushes from ZBrush, the ZBrush pack will be ported to Nomad. That'll be something that will push me towards buying Nomad for desktop. Yeah, that's the goal at least, right? Like we have a lot of kits. We have like the FlippedNormals skin kit, we have the face kit and such for alphas. So and Nomad is actually really solid for alphas. And like these brushes here have already been ported, so you just have to see that, make sure that's all working first. But yeah, that's the goal. I would love to really contribute to the Nomad ecosystem. Let's see if we have a marmoset that's popping up here. Here we go. All right, so let me show you this guy here. So I just recorded this on Thursday. This is baking the Kaiju. So here I've already done the low poly version. I've done the high poly version in ZBrush, low poly version in Blender, and this is now being baked, and we have baked everything here. So let me show you. Yeah, this is our Kaiju. This is what it looks like. So this is our guy with all the details here, the teeth, the tongue, everything is working well. So I'm not gonna record anything this week, but I am gonna record probably the week after where I'll start on texturing. So this here is all just, this is all just normal. This is all just a low poly version with a normal map applied to it. And here you can see all the bake groups as well for it. So yeah, it should be pretty cool. You can go through the different maps here. So that's what the normal map looks like. This here is all sculpted in ZBrush. There's no painter on this whatsoever at this moment. So this is all in ZBrush using alphas, 27 million poly model here. So far, we have different maps here that we're baking. So let's have a quick look here. Go through this and we can see these ones. So we have the height, position, not the most exciting one. I want to show the curvature. Just takes a bit of time to go through them. Bake projects, let's do curvature, the next one. I really prefer baking stuff in Marmoset. It's just a different world in Painter. It's just better. It's just better in every single way, in my opinion. It's also so fast. So yeah, all of this here is just baked now from the high poly model from ZBrush and baked onto the low poly here. And this is one of the cool things. A bit of a sidetrack from everything we're talking about so far. But here is basically my best texturing tip I know. If you want to really make texturing easier, you should just spend a lot of time on the sculpting. In this case here, we have spent a lot of time. I have spent a lot of time making sure this is all good. And it means that if you're texturing this, you can in a large way get by with simple gradients, a few simple fill layers with some gradients in Painter, which is where I'm going to be texturing this, and using these as masks. And you're going to be in a really good spot because of this. So you can make, for instance, everything that's black, one color, everything goes outwards, one color, and then you can just paint a few soft gradients, one for the belly, one for the back and such, some patterns here and there. And you're actually in a good spot. Right? It's fantastic. Also, this is using UDIMs. So this here is 6 UDIMs now, 7 UDIMs actually, and this is 4K. This is baked into 4K, so we can get quite close up here. This also is supported in Unreal as well. So yeah, we're going to be working with UDIMs in Unreal. I'm really happy about this project. So far, this has taken pretty much exactly 40 hours to do, and this includes all the pieces here, like all the accessories, includes the whole piece, includes a full retopology, low poly, and baking as well. And then what's left is going to be texture painting and bringing this into Unreal, and there's going to be some props as well. It's a very simple chains, so that's all cool. I want to show you the wireframe as well. Not particularly sexy here, but this is what the wireframe looks like. So yeah, that's all good. So yeah, nicely retopologized. So that's it. Let's go back to Nomad. How long have you been working on the game character course now? I started sculpting the character in March. It was basically a personal project for me, just to have fun with that. I was recovering from surgery, and I was just learning game dev at the same time, and just really having fun with that. So I sculpted the Kaiju, and but I've been recording it since, since beginning of September. So that's around, like 2.5 months now? Yeah, around 2.5 months. So that's been, it's been taking a lot of my time recording that. So, but I'm really enjoying it. I can also see the light at the end of the tunnel now, which is good fun. So I'm just going to go in here and make sure these shapes here are nicely defined. Very nice. Thanks for the peek. Thank you so much. Much appreciated. I really can't wait to get this out in the world. We're talking about doing a bit of an insider thing here now. We haven't talked about this much, but we're talking about doing a really cool trailer for it, like getting it rigged and then finding some animators and just doing a proper badass trailer for the Kaiju tutorial. Just showing you, obviously the tutorial itself wouldn't be showing rigging and such, but just making a trailer being like, this is going to be cool. One of my ideas is duplicating him and having him fight against himself, maybe changing the texture a little bit and just having some animators go absolutely nuts. I think that would be really cool. Because it's such a nice looking asset, hopefully, right? I think it's a cool looking asset. And then just making something that looks awesome. My goal with this is that if you have something like looks like this in a portfolio, then you should be able to get a job. And yeah, that's been what I've been reaching towards. I'm going to be trying some claws here, or some teeth. So I'm going to be going in here, add, and we're going to be using the tube tool here. And then we are going to be trying to make a little disabling snapping. I'm a little confused there by snapping, because maybe this is just a pure bug in Nomad, but snapping is now white, which means it's disabled. I would assume that snapping being red would be disabled, but maybe I'm just misunderstanding something here. And we're going to do the radius, make this small, put this here. You could also enable snapping to snap it to this point, but you know, not a crazy thing because I don't have to disable it here as well. So we're going to make this go downwards. So disable this like so. I'll go back to the chat in a second. I just need to concentrate here for a bit. So we can make this smaller. We can make this even smaller, make this a bit bigger, and we can make this go downwards. So we can do, this is one of the things that's a little awkward as well in the desktop version, because this is based around the iPad. So here you actually have to type in numbers instead of it being more of a slider. But that's fine. Like honestly, very, very, very minor inconvenience. I'm going to enable B-spline as well. I'm probably just misunderstanding it because now B-spline is enabled and is red. I would have just assumed purely intuitively that would be the opposite, but I'm sure I'm just misunderstanding it. I'm still learning. So also the cool thing is you can just delete a curve point here, a CV, by just dragging it onto the other one. So we are going to just be scaling this down a little bit, like so. I can also enable another one in the center here, and then I can change the scale for that as well, in case I want that to be changed a little bit. Actually, let's just do 1 point. Makes this a little cleaner. Cool, I think that's actually pretty good. We can mirror, and in the mirror, I can also do a Y. Hey, there we go, check it out, that's pretty cool. And then we can validate this. Pretty happy with this. Validate, and we can validate the mirror as well. Well, validating basically just merges it so that it's all sorted. And then we can just join these two. Should just be Control J. And we can do this as well. Control J. Not Control J. Not Control J? I thought it was Control J. I'm sure it's sure. I can find that. We can go under here. Binding. Join. It's J, not Control J. There we go. So J. And then there we go. So now we have two of these guys here. We can just enable symmetry for them. We can enable the gizmo that's hidden behind my microphone. We can go in here and we can just move this in like so. And yeah, there we go. So that's pretty cool. I'm just really liking this this tool. We can just make sure that this fits around it like so as well. I really like how I can customize the hotkeys here, because it means I can just use my old school ZBrush hotkeys. And the ZBrush hotkeys I have, they're really solid. I'm just using the basically 1 to 6 numbers. They aren't really used for anything else, so that makes this a lot easier. And I'm using S for brush size, Z for intensity, and Shift X for symmetry. So the combo is Nomad plus quarter measure is worth it, right? Well, I don't have quarter measure here, but I mean, quarter measure is just zero measure. So if you already know how to use zero measure, then you should know what it can do, right? Meaning that if you know that works in your workflow, then awesome, that's great. Then you can then you can use that. For the iPad, it's definitely worth it for me. I bought that without thinking about it because it was so affordable. But for the desktop, it's definitely too expensive for me, considering I do actually have ZBrush as well. So for me, that's not worth it. But also, again, I do have ZBrush for that. So I'm going to do the same thing here for the teeth. This is the coolest tool I've used in a very, very long time in 3D. The way I appreciate, the reason I appreciate a tool like this is because I've been using a lot of very, very crappy curve tools over a very long time. And this is just good. Like, it just does exactly what you want it to do. And yeah, it's just very, very, very intuitive to use. Absolute pleasure using this tool. So that's cool. I'm going to be doing a mirror, and then we are going to be validating this. And then we're going to go up here and just validate the mirror as well. The cool thing is you can still go in and you can change this as well, which is really handy. You can just join children like that. And now we have this as one tool. And yeah, that's pretty cool. Is there like a Control R remesher? I'm not sure what that means. There is a voxelize here, so you can just do that. There isn't, as far as I know, the only remesher you have, like you have voxelize here, which allows you to do this, which I obviously don't want to do, but it allows you to do this here, which is this has a hotkey as well. I can't actually remember the hotkey, but also that's one of the cool things is you can just search here for the hotkey. Voxel, there's a V key for voxel. I should have known that was the V key. So you can use the V key, and that does that, and that does that. So it's nice and easy. And then yeah, you have quarter remesher here, but again, you have to pay for that one. You also have the planar brush as well, which is really cool. So you can really get some nice and clean planes here if you want to do that. So this is really handy. I don't think this is to the level of trim dynamic though in ZBrush. Trim dynamic is one of the greatest things known to mankind, which is fantastic. Kind of does the job, but I don't think this is I don't think these brushes are to the same caliber as trim dynamic. But you know, it is what it is. One thing I often do is I smooth my sculpts a lot. So in the past, if you've seen our videos for a long time, you'll see me talk about you shouldn't smooth your models. And there is something to that, because a lot of people, they over smooth their models like significantly, meaning that they just end up with something wish-washy, which is really bad because it means that there is no definition in it. But at the same time, smoothing out something like this is also fantastic because it means that you can control the shapes, you can control the volumes. So smoothing things out isn't bad. The way I see it is that a big misunderstanding when people sculpt is that they assume the smooth brush is almost like a relax brush. But the smooth brush is not a relax brush. The smooth brush is a blur brush, right? If you were to be using the blur tool in Photoshop or the smooth brush here, it's pretty comparable tools. It just smooths whatever is there. And that means if you think about it, should I smooth my model? Well, smoothing sounds nice, right? It sounds like you're unifying things. Should I be blurring my model? Well, blurring my model is more aggressive. But it's the same command. So it just means that you just have to be deliberate about what you're doing. And blurring things, yeah, awesome. Blurring something is awesome if you need to blur something. In this case, I want to blur something because the shapes are just not defined. And by blurring things, you can really get clarity. You simplify, you make stronger when you simplify things. You simplify to make stronger. And this is a fantastic way to do it. Is it fast? I guess you're talking about Nomad as a tool here. I mean, pretty good. You can go back in the stream so far. I think you should be able to go back there just in the stream here. You can see what I've been doing so far. This is all done in like, I don't know, last half hour or so. And yeah, it's good. I like it a lot. Should probably save this as well. Predator 01. I'm actually kind of enjoying this one. Nomad Smooth Brush does have a relax mode too. Yeah, that's true. That is right here as well, which is quite handy as well. So you can just relax things as well. But it's more like when you are smoothing, right, without that, it does just nuke whatever is there. So even though it has a relax mode to it, the misconception I think is still that Smoothing is just something that unifies things instead of thinking about smoothing as fundamentally a highly destructive act, which is how I think about it. Because sometimes you want to just nuke stuff on a model, right? That's fine. But also keep in mind, I'm pretty new to Nomad. Like this is like my third time sculpting in Nomad ever. The first was me just opening up and just fiddling around with it a little bit, and the second time was me sculpting the guy you can see in the beginning of the stream, and then the third time is now. So I'm very new to the desktop version, at least. For the iPad version, I've been sculpting a bit more, though I've only used Nomad for like 3 weeks. I've used it on my girlfriend's iPad for like some years back, but I haven't used that in years as well. So for all intents and purposes, I'm like a rookie in Nomad for 3 weeks or so. But it's, yeah, a fantastic tool. I'm really enjoying it. When I have a problem sleeping, I tend to pick up Nomad and sculpt a bit. Need to admit that it's really good on iPad. I really like it. I'm very surprised by how good it actually is on the iPad. I mean, that's the primary release of it, right? But compared to something like ZBrush, which has been around for a lot longer, I genuinely think the iPad version of Nomad is superb. Like I haven't done a one-to-one comparison between them, but I have sculpted enough in both of them, in both the iPad version and both the ZBrush version of iPad and the Nomad version 2, to say that they're both highly, highly competent tools. The difference is honestly the price. If you have a ZBrush subscription, I'm pretty sure that you get the iPad version for free included. At least I do that, so I assume everyone else will get that as well. But if you're not and you have to pay for it, man, it's getting expensive. ZBrush is not a cheap software. It's also, the absolute leader when it comes to sculpting, when it comes to particularly the desktop version. But for the iPad, I would say that they are very comparable. I would say that they're pretty direct competitors to what they can do. Also, that's also because ZBrush for iPad is missing a few features that the desktop version will have, like for instance being able to export out displacement maps. If you're in a production right now, the desktop version or Nomad in general cannot export out displacement maps, which means that you're gonna have to use something like where are we? Did I close it down? Like Marmoset for displacement map exporting. And you don't want to do that. You don't want to use this for displacement map exporting compared to ZBrush, because ZBrush is standardized. ZBrush, the displacement maps from ZBrush, they just work. There is no fiddling around with that. If you export out a displacement map from ZBrush, it's going to work without any adjustment in Blender, presumably through your Max. It's going to work in Houdini, Maya, Arnold, like everything. It's just standardized. So you don't have to guess the amount or something, like guess the scale or something like that. So if a tool doesn't have native displacement exporting, then it can't really be used for production properly. It can be used for tons of things in production, but it can't be used for something where you actually have to export out displacement maps. If it can't export out displacement maps, which sounds logical enough. But the moment it has that, different story, right? It's not like displacement exporting from ZBrush is that good. It works, but you still have to go through multi-map exporter, and it's missing a few features here and there. It can be a bit awkward to use. Merge maps only works with TIFF files. It doesn't work with XR files, for instance. It hasn't been updated in absolutely ages. The settings don't really make sense. The settings are lying to you in ZBrush, like the straight up lying to you. They're saying that some stuff is to increase the quality of the map, even though it doesn't. It just subdivides the model at render time, which means that displacement maps from ZBrush should take minutes to export at most. But if you enable the good settings, that means that they take maybe an hour to export, and there are no gains in it. There are no discernible differences between those before and after, apart from the hour lost. What does Nomad do that Blender Sculpt does not? Just curious on what the differences are if you use both. I've used both quite a lot. I even made a whole sculpting course actually in Blender, Introduction to Sculpting for Blender. Let me find that actually. So I made a whole course, this one here actually. So I've used it quite a lot. The main thing is that Nomad is a specialized tool, right? Like it does basically one thing, and it does it really well. It's just much more refined than ZBrush. Than Blender, not ZBrush. Blender for sculpting just isn't that good. It's okay, meaning you can get the job done and such, but it's awkward. The multi-res modifier is really not amazing. There are, like, you still have performance issues. You still have like that undo bug where you undo, the whole thing slows down. And the brushes just aren't very good. Like, the brushes are fine, but they're just not amazing. And I'm past the point where I'm going to use mid tools. I need to use excellent tools for what I'm using. Like, I'm so used to ZBrush, to sculpting ZBrush, that I'm not going to even entertain using something that isn't close to that quality. And Nomad is close to that quality. It's not the same quality. The sculpting is not the same as in ZBrush, but it's pretty darn close. And pretty darn close is something I can work with. But I'm not going to be content with tools like Blender. But it also makes sense. I mean, why would Blender be as good as Nomad? Like for that, it would be like, why would Nomad be as good as Blender for rendering, right? Like, Blender is an all-encompassing tool, and most specialized tools are better than Blender at what they're doing, right? Like Katana is going to be a better scene management tool and render than that. Like RenderMan and Arnold is going to be better than Cycles, at least in many ways, for high-level production stuff. Houdini, which is a procedural effects tool, is going to be better at procedural effects. But no tool is better than Blender at the whole thing, right? As one package. The stuff you can do in Blender is insane. You can sculpt, animate, rig, retopologize, all that. But specialized tools like Rism for UVs is going to kick Blender's butt for at those specific things. Is Nomad more intuitive than ZBrush? For me, it's not even like a competition there. Right? Like it's Nomad is significantly more intuitive than ZBrush. The way I see it is that ZBrush is not particularly intuitive, and I find Nomad to be very intuitive. Like, honestly, in terms of a tutorial, what you have, save up here. You have, speaking of, I should save, outliner here. You have lights and you have lights here, shading here. You have general settings over here. You have the brushes here. You can subdivide down here. It's kind of it. It's a very, very, very simple tool, but it's not simple. It's easy to use. It's very powerful. So it's not like it's simple and can only do one thing. It's a very, very refined tool, but it has a very elegant user experience. It's also cool on iPad as well. Of course, that's what it's made. But it's cool that it's the same tool for iPad and for desktop, which is, I haven't seen this before. I haven't seen something that works this well between both. And you can use a keyboard on the iPad if you want to, and the hotkeys are going to work really well. But also, if you don't use a keyboard on iPad, it's still going to work really well. So I'm just excited about this. Like I said before in the stream, I just like 3D. I think these tools are just cool. I don't really put my finger on the scale here when it comes to, like, I'm not affiliated with any of them. I'm not getting paid by any company to talk about these kind of things. I just think 3D is neat, and I like to explore new tools. If Nomad is going to stay in my tool bag, let's see, right? So far, it's a pretty awesome tool, but maybe something else comes along, or maybe the interface change in ZBrush is amazing. Also, of course, some of the stuff that I'm drawn to is I make tutorials for a living, and we gotta also see what actually people are interested in. So, for instance, we're going to do some Nomad tutorials for YouTube, but if nobody watches those tutorials, we're not going to continue making tutorials for Nomad, right? But if people really watch them and they really enjoy those tutorials, or we see that the engagement from the Nomad community is really good, of course we're going to continue that. It was the same with Blender as well. We've been using Maya for years, and then Blender was really starting to pick up traction, and then we were using Blender because it's an excellent tool, but also because it people watch those videos, and you just work based on feedback. You're not going to create content for something nobody watches. What's the point of that? Yes, we just have to see where it goes. But it is pretty cool that I can turn a very, very basic base mesh into something like this that kind of works in a very, very short amount of time. I'm just really having fun with that. All right, let's do the teeth on the bottom as well. Gonna clone these guys. And then I'm going to move them down. This is where I'm not, there are two things I'm not sure about here. So if somebody can help me out here. The first one is I wanna move the pivot point so that the pivot point is in the center. I don't know how to do that. So I want to move the actual pivot here. And I don't know how to actually move the pivot, which is annoying. Second off, I want to just mirror it. And I'm not entirely sure how to actually mirror this. So, you know, you guys will have to be on a learning journey with me for a little bit here. I know there is a feature somewhere that allows me to mirror, but I'm just not sure entirely where that is. So again, you know, I'm new to the software. We are just going to have to learn a little bit together here. I know there is a mirror feature because I have used that in the past, but alas, I cannot remember where that is. Oh, and the Gizmo tool, there's a pivot button in the middle left. All right, let's try that. In the middle left. Assume it's up here. Yeah, I'm not seeing that. See, the feature is just not visible here. I mean, maybe I'm doing something wrong here, right? But I'm sure this is me being a little silly. This is one of those things that should just be easy, right? Like moving something around. I just don't know how to do that. So I'm just going to be looking around for the mirror feature that is here somewhere. Ah, there we go. Let's try this. All right, cool. Flip object is going to be this one. Ah, there we go. Perfect. Perfect. All right, yeah. So this is pretty cool that we have this one. We can just move it around like so. That's awesome. And then we can go in here. And now I want to move the pivot of this one as well. Let's see. Is that in the same spot? That would be a bit weird if that was in the same spot. All right, so next question. Now I know how to do this. Awesome. I want to move the pivot so that the pivot is in the same object here. And if anyone can show me how to do that, that'd be great, because I have to move it in like so now. It's just a bit awkward. Because now it's pivoting from a weird spot. So that's annoying. But I'm sure there is a way to do it, but I don't know how to do it. There's also a repeater for mirroring. Yeah, that's what I've done before. That's how I made these ones originally. I just wanted to duplicate them now because I've already done it. In the modifier key around here, let's see. Is it this one? Hey, there we go. That looks to be how we do that. Nope. Okay, I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to actually move this around. Anyway, I'm not going to be... That's enough learning together with this. I'm going to be moving these guys in as well, and then we're going to be moving them. Then I'm going to be continuing the sculpting for this. We're going to be cloning this. Cool. Then we're going to be moving this inwards. I just want some more teeth here as well. It's okay. I'll deal with it like this. Grab the pivot button now. Let's see. Okay, I'm sure it's here somewhere. Pivot. That's probably one. Okay, let's see here. We should auto reset this one. Hey, there we go. Look at that. Awesome. So now I can move this around here. And there we go. Awesome. Thanks, guys. Then we're going to do this one as well. And then pivot. And then auto. Great. Awesome. Thanks, guys. Very helpful. Awesome. Cool. So that's how we do it. That's how we do this. All right, so I'm gonna have to move this the other way, like so, because I need space here for the teeth to fit. So I'm gonna have to just modify the design a little bit for this one. I'm sure that's very frustrating to give me help, and I'm just there like an idiot, just not knowing where to look. But that is what it is. No, it's a genuinely a really intuitive software to use. The way I personally learn software is that I just fiddle around with the software. I don't really watch a lot of tutorials. I do read a lot of documentation actually, but I don't actually watch a lot of tutorials. And that's simply because I like to learn by doing. I find that I get a much more intuitive sense of the software if I'm just learning it by actually using the software. So my favorite way to learn anything, like same as when I'm learning game dev as well, is not to just watch all the tutorials. It's to try to build something. Straight up just try to build something and then going from there. That's by far my favorite way to do it. It's very frustrating because you make a lot of mistakes and you have to bash your head against the wall a lot, but you get a very intuitive understanding of things that way. Cool. Yeah, I'm liking where where this guy's going now. Just gonna have to strengthen the design a little bit here because it feels a little weak, like in a very real structural sense. It feels like I need to strengthen it. This is also why I focus so much on fundamentals when I'm teaching, because if you know how to sculpt, you can do something like this without too many problems, because this is just a guy, right? Like a guy with a weird mouth. It's just not that complicated compared to like learning how Nomad works is not that difficult. The difficult thing about sculpting is understanding sculpting. The difficult thing about sculpting is not knowing the software, because you can have two people, one of them knows sculpting really well and doesn't know Nomad, and that person is gonna be in a very good spot very soon. Well, somebody who knows every single button in Nomad, every single feature, doesn't know how to sculpt. Like they still can't make an appealing character. It's a real treat watching a master create a Nomad. Ah, thank you so much. I very much don't consider myself a master, but thank you so much. Next year, I will have sculpted for 20 years. That's pretty scary. Well over half my life at that point. But that's actually mad. 20 years is a long time. It's one of those, like, I only believe it because I know the math is true. But 20 years, man, that's a long time. I should do some kind of celebration at that point. Started with version 2 in ZBrush in 2006. Also, the fact that 2006 is 20 years ago next year, that's pretty mad. I think my registration as ZBrush Central is June 2006. All right, I want to do something more for his head because this is missing now. So we're doing this. Just gonna move this up like so. I probably need to remove his ears, don't I? Because the more I sculpt this guy, the more certain I am that he doesn't have ears. It's interesting because it's not even because of the reference, because it's covered by hair. It's because I don't think it fits the design. I don't think it fits the design to have ears. If he does have ears, maybe I can do some cool stuff with his ears. I think they would be really tiny and they would be very pointy as well. They would be very aggressive looking ears like the rest of the design. Maybe we should do like Morten and I, we've both been doing 3D for pretty much the same amount of time. And maybe we should do like a 20-year anniversary when we've been doing that, talking about our journey, talking about what's changed in that time. Because that's actually kind of an interesting one. Because a lot of things have changed and a lot of things have not. It's also why I focus so much on fundamentals, because pretty much all the interfaces from back then are obsolete, because like a lot of the tools I used aren't even available anymore. Like Modo, rest in peace. Softimage, rest in peace. So it doesn't even matter if you're the best artist in Softimage from a technical point of view. Doesn't matter, right? It's all gone now. So you have to learn something new. But if you're really good at sculpting back in 2006, then you would still be good at sculpting today. So I think that's just important to keep in mind. Like presumably, right? Like the fundamental skills today are still going to be the fundamental skills of tomorrow. Okay, I'm not loving this at the moment. Gotta just check this out. What are your thoughts on 3D Coat? I don't really have any, to be honest. It looks like a phenomenal piece of kit, but I just have had no reason to ever use 3D Coat, because everything 3D Coat can do, I've always had alternatives to that. I've already been established. When 3D Coat came out with sculpting, or I was already sculpting in ZBrush, texture painting. Already, I had Mudbox, ZBrush, Mari, Painter, I had all that for... it just didn't offer me anything at any point. There was also some weird terms of service stuff back in the day. I think this is gone, but it was like you couldn't use 3D Coat to create something that was blasphemous to Christianity, which made me want to make something that was blasphemous to Christianity. I don't really have anything against religion or anything, but it was like, when somebody tells me I can't do something like that, it was like, okay, I wanna do something that's against that, just because I thought that was a really weird thing to have. But I'm pretty sure that's gone now, because obviously any game studio can't, or movie studio can't do that. Like who's gonna define what's blasphemous or not, and suddenly you have a lawsuit on your hands, right? So yeah, that was a bit of a weird one. Just gonna move this a bit closer as well. Moves the eyes closer. I think the design looks a little awkward with how close the eyes are. Maybe this is because the guy in a suit in the original Predator movies would have, this would be the position of the eyes, but the rest of the mask is so big that it's just pushed outwards, which makes the eyes look really close. They try to include texture painting in ZBrush, then Substance Painter save the day. Yeah, I mean, texture painting in ZBrush is not good. You have, of course, poly painting, but I mean, like when your texture resolution is dependent on your poly count, then you don't have a good system for texture painting, right? So texture painting in ZBrush is it was how I did it back in the day, because we didn't really have any options for that, or not, at least no other real options. You had body paint and such, but like that was kind of it. You kind of did this in ZBrush. But then, yeah, Painter has, I would say, has revolutionized texture painting. Because even though you had Mari, and Mari was about before Painter, still, Mari is heavy, Mari is clunky, Mari is great, Mari is fantastic, but it's not a casual little software. Mari is, for me, a tractor, in the sense that it's an industrial tool used for industrial harvesting, right? While Painter was more like a go-kart, where it's fun and it's fast and all that, but also at the same time, if you need to do industrial harvesting, you need a tractor. But if you gotta move fast, go-kart is pretty good. Body paint fell off hard. Oh yeah. I'm wondering if body paint is still available in Cinema 4D, because at some point it was, where it was integrated into Cinema 4D. I used that a little bit, but yeah, body paint was fine. That was actually like the one texturing tool that was actually a texturing tool. And then Mudbox as well. Mudbox was also actually fairly decent at texturing. I think if they hadn't been acquired by Autodesk, they could have actually been a pretty legit texturing tool today, because they were way ahead of everyone else at texturing. You actually had texturing layers. You had a viewport that looked really awesome. You can still find that, probably like Mudbox from videos from like what's a new Mudbox 2009 or something. I reckon that's still on YouTube. Yeah, polypaint is still fine, right? Yeah, if you want to do concepting and such, it's still fine for that because it means you don't need UVs or anything like that. But my God, as a texturing tool, obviously it's not a texturing tool, right? Which means that you just need something like Painter. Even though sometimes I actually prefer polypainting to Painter, just because Painter is a little awkward with how it with color picking and such. I still think ZBrush for pure raw concepting is more powerful. And again, you don't need UVs, right? Which obviously is a massive benefit. This guy looks a little chubby now. I don't want Predator to be a little chubby. I want him to be pretty strong. So I'm going to have to go in and just lean him up a little bit. There's something awkward here. Whenever I alt-tab out, I just alt-tab out now to see OBS, see how long we've been going for. An hour and 45, pretty cool. Then Nomad locks. So I have to like click on some weird stuff here to make this work. There's a bit of an awkward thing going on. Gotta get those sternocleidomastoid master muscles in there. Oh yes. I went to physio last year and he just refers to the sternocleidomastoid as SCM. And I think I'm just going to keep doing that as well because sternocleidomastoid is insane. That's such a mouthful. SCM, totally fine. Whenever it comes to anatomy, I like to just keep this simple when it comes to terminology. I know some people who are really technical with like, the trapezius and the sternocleidomastoid. Like, I just go traps and the lats and the delts and such because people know what you're talking about. And we're not doctors. The specificity we require is not high enough to warrant really fancy Latin/Greek/medical names. Because if you say the traps, no one is going to be, do you mean the trapezius? They're going to go, all right, yeah, the traps, all good. Just because it just takes time for everyone to learn that. And there is no benefit to using fancy names. The problem is, I've seen this actually a few times where some people know anatomy to a really, really high degree when it comes to technical anatomy. And they're using that they're like, remove the anterior border of the whatever muscle, right? And you're going like, cool, nobody understands what you're actually saying. So even though that person understands anatomy really well, the other people don't. And that's just really confusing because sure, if everyone knew anatomy to that degree, that'd be fine. But the problem is that most people don't need to know anatomy to that degree. Like, and that specialized anatomy isn't just for character artists, right? Like it's basically reserved for physiotherapists or massage therapists and such. You just don't need that granular knowledge because oftentimes a lot of character artists don't deal with anatomy that directly. You deal with you need to understand shape to a great degree and all that. But a lot of character art isn't just about technical correct anatomy. It's about a lot more than that. It's fundamentally about creating good shape, but also understanding, particularly professional character art. It's in a large way understanding how to work with other people, understanding how to work in a pipeline, understanding what files to give other people, understanding how to work in a clean, sustainable way. It's not just about pure technical anatomy. Like one of my favorite sculptors today is Rafael Grassetti. Obviously, his anatomical knowledge is great, but I don't think he is that good of a sculptor because of his anatomical skills. I think he is that good of a sculptor because of his insane understanding of shape. He's so precise. He's so fast. Yes, obviously he knows his anatomy, but I think if he were to forget half of his anatomy, I think he would still be practically just as good. Because you reach a point where it really is down to understanding shape. And also just a reminder that we have a pretty nifty Black Friday sale going on here as well. So we have Introduction to Anatomy, which is about understanding basically everything about anatomy. I'm basically teaching you everything I know about anatomy without overwhelming you as well, really focusing on a good, solid fundamental approach. But we also just have a lot of really good FlippedNormals exclusive, but a lot of tutorials in general. So even though you're using something else for sculpting, if you're using Nomad or Blender, these tutorials are still really good. So check those out. I'm going to give this guy some eyes because that's really important. So new, we'll add, and we can do a quad sphere, which is a sphere made of quads, which is quite handy. So we can just solo this guy as well. So nice quad sphere. Then we can go in here, we can just disable the wireframe, and we can go in here and we can scale this down. Like so, go into the front view. One thing I wish Nomad had were actual quad views. Like right now, of course, you can go to the different views here, but it would be really handy if you could see multiple views at the same time. I'm not sure if that even is possible when it comes to sculpting from an architectural point of view, because it means that you would, like, you might have to draw the model multiple times. So right now, this model here isn't that heavy. It's like 330K. But if let's say you're dealing with like 20 mil, I'm not sure if that would actually work, because you might need to, like it's like a co-op game, you might have to draw the game, like split screen game. You might have to actually draw it multiple times. So maybe that's the case, maybe not. Obviously, I'm not a programmer, but I would imagine that that might be an actual reason for this not being possible. Okay, cool. We have some eyes here. I'm gonna sculpt in some eyes. This is something I often do with my characters. I go in here and I just sculpt in some eyes. Keeping this simple. We can subdivide this. I also have hotkeys for this as well. Control D and Shift D. I basically set up my ZBrush hotkeys for this because you basically need hotkeys. One thing that's a bit annoying in Nomad as well, I reckon this is a bug, but when you hit the S key or the X key, which is the default one, but the radius key, you see how it moves a little bit from one side to the other. It's not a massive thing, but it's just a little bit annoying. So I'm gonna be sculpting in some eyes here, like so. Keeping this nice and simple. This is also something that if people have an answer to this, where the lazy mouse here is quite intense. So it's actually a bit hard to sculpt in areas that are this small. I'm sure there's a setting for it, but I haven't been able to find a good setting for this. So now this is what we have. It looks a little silly. I'm gonna redo this. It looks like the lazy mouse is screen space based in terms of size. Again, we're learning a bit together now, because this is my third time using Nomad for desktop. So there are definitely some quirks here, and I've only had the iPad for 2 weeks. Again, this is on desktop, but even so, I haven't been sculpting a lot in Nomad, so there's going to be tons of these weird things. Yeah, this stream here will all be just up on the channel afterwards, so you can watch the whole thing if you want to. It's just going to be up, and I'm going to be streaming a lot this Black Friday as well. So I'm going to be rotating this around a little bit, and now I learned there's a pivot here, and auto, great, and we can enable symmetry for this as well, which I have a hotkey for. It's pretty handy. Go in here. I'm wondering if is there a way to make this local, because I'm not sure if there's a way to make that local, because now I have two objects right in this one. So if somebody knows, that'd be fantastic, because right now I basically want to rotate one of them, and I can't really find a clever way of doing that. I basically want it to be local and then be moved in, so it will rotate on its local axis. This is still fine, right? But just a little awkward. In the brush settings, you have the option to adjust lacy rope stabilization, but it's per tool, unfortunately. All right, cool. I'll check that out. Are 3D jobs dead? Why is Reddit saying so? I mean, this is not specifically to 3D jobs. This is jobs. Like I've never seen this few jobs around in general. Like this is basically recession time, right? Like I know the stock market, particularly the US one, is up like crazy, but that's also because of a few companies just absolutely juicing the AI boom, but there just aren't jobs right now. Like, it's really difficult to get hired right now, almost regardless of which industry you're in. One industry that was supposed to be like, you know, truckers are losing their jobs because of self-driving trucks, and they're supposed to do software development, and now all the software jobs are gone as well. I mean, they're just people are just not hiring right now, and that's for a lot of different factors. But I don't think the 3D market is dead, but everything is just, everyone would be very apprehensive about hiring right now. But also Reddit says so. Reddit says a lot of things. I tend to not put too much credence into what Reddit is saying, because man, that's a bunch of depressive dudes out there. But yeah, like obviously the 3D market isn't doing great right now, right? Like but again, everywhere is. If you go to like the jobs subreddit, just like our jobs or any other job site, people are just talking about how difficult it is to get jobs, like basically regardless of what industry. And apart from maybe if you work in bankruptcies, then you probably a lot of jobs in that right now. But yeah, it's not a good time. It's just difficult for everyone right now. That's legit one of the reasons why we made Flipboxes, because we want to be sure that we know a lot of people are having a hard time now, and we want to essentially give people affordable options for tutorials and training and such. So without, of course, devaluing the creator products as well. So I think that's a pretty elegant solution, and it seems like people are really enjoying that. So we're going to do more Flipboxes in the future as well. But yeah, that's basically one of the problems we're trying to solve. We can't just give away all products for free, because then we devalue it in the creator products, and we can't have that. And but we also want to make sure that people can get really high quality products without paying a crazy amount for that. Hello, by the way, Nomad Sculpt has a nice indicator feature for tutorial videos, so you can see the gestures, mouse, fingers better. So this is on desktop. Does it have anything like that here as well? If so, please let me know. On the iPad, where can I find that? I know that when you're recording by default using the just the screen recording tools, it does by default show the hands or the fingers. So that's not a Nomad feature, but if Nomad has anything specifically for that, I'd love to know that, because that sounds really useful, because I will be recording a lot of Nomad tutorials. Wait, Nomad for desktop is already out? Hell yeah, it is. This is Nomad for desktop. I mean, like, I'm literally on desktop right now. Like, my iPad is in my backpack. So this is just, I'm just using my Wacom tablet now, and just sculpting here. So there are no fingers used at all. I'm just sculpting like here, you know, this is ZBrush. I'm just sculpting like this is ZBrush. So, you know, simple enough. But yeah, I didn't know that Nomad was out for desktop either until I actually got into Nomad for the iPad, and people on Twitter were saying, hey, check out the desktop version. You do have to pay for it separately, but honestly, it's not very expensive. I can't remember the exact amount. It was something like $30, £30, something like that. It's in the 30s. It's not very expensive. Let's see, Nomad desktop. I think the way you find it is just searching for Nomad desktop, and click here, and then it's here. I'm not actually sure where to find it otherwise, but then you can download it from here, free to download, and you can use a demo version of it, which is pretty cool. You can't save it, but you can use it totally free there, as far as I know. I bought it pretty soon, so I haven't played around too much with that, but it seems like that's a fairly good way to actually do it. And then yeah, you can buy it from purchase. Let's see how much it is. Yeah, $42. That's 35 plus VAT on top. So yeah, that's two activations. It's pretty good, right? Not bad. And for Mac OS as well. So that's pretty good. Like, it is legitimately really simple to use. I'm curious. I'd actually like your guys' input on this. So we're going to be making tutorials for Nomad, right? And I'm going to be using the iPad primarily for that. but we are, you know, the desktop version is here as well. And obviously it's much easier to record tutorials for desktop because my recording setup is all on there. So how should I be doing this? Should I be using the desktop version or the iPad version? Like, what is the best way to go about that? Because I don't want to mess this up. My thinking is that I'll use the iPad first for the majority of the work, and then I'll also mention that the desktop is there. But yeah, whatever you guys have as an idea, I would love to hear that. I need clarification on a question here. When did you figure out the add and integrate things? I'm pretty new to sculpting, but I haven't thought of my process enough to have ideas like that. I don't actually understand the question, so if you can just elaborate on that, I would love that. Then I can see if I can answer that. If the question is about adding, like actually adding subtools, like, well, not subtools, it is, guess it's objects here, then it's, the way I think about it is when to separate things out. It's very simple. If this is a separate piece in the real world, it's a separate piece in 3D. Very nice and simple. The teeth are separate pieces in the real world. They're a separate material. So then I tend to make them separate pieces in 3D as well. And if they're combined, I combine them. This just makes it a lot easier. For instance, the eyes here are separate pieces, which means that you need to have them as separate pieces because otherwise you can't articulate them. You know, you can't actually animate them. So that's important to keep in mind. And then down top of time, I'm just going to be sculpting around here a little bit, just going in here and refining this a little. What social media do you consider most attractive and best traffic for posting sculpt these days? I would say it's probably going to be Instagram and Twitter. Twitter, because there's a lot of engagement there from actual real people. As long as you just avoid the bots and you know what you mute a lot of things is fine. Instagram, because there's just a lot of general engagement there. Facebook is pretty much dead. One thing that's been really lovely with Twitter since I started with game dev is a lot of people have been helping me when I've had questions. I tend to just post a lot of questions on Twitter, not because I don't necessarily know the answer, but because there's always a better way to do something. Like one question I had the other day was, how do I split a character in half? Like I have the whole character like this, and it has topology and such. How do I just split it in half? Obviously, I know how to do that, right? Like, I know how to split a character in half, easy peasy. And but there are so many cool tips and tricks that I didn't even know about in Blender because there are so many ways to do something simple. So I tend to just ask a lot of questions about how I do something. Essentially, I don't find that I have a lot of stuff to prove to myself when it comes to 3D. So I don't really care about looking stupid. So if I have a question, I'll just ask my question. If I look a little dumb, well, I mean, I don't care. That's fine. In nearly every single case, what happens is I ask my question and I get an answer that actually really helps me. And it shows me a new way to do something. And then a lot of people go like, wow, that's actually really cool. I didn't know that. And it's just like a community learning. Like now, before, I'm not sure how many people are here from, like, I don't know, 45 minutes ago when I needed help with the gizmo. I didn't know how to do the gizmo. People in chat would be like, hey, this is how you do the gizmo. Cool. Awesome. Right? The alternative is that I don't know how to do that, and now I know how to do it. Right? Like, what's the benefit in me not knowing something? The risk is that I look stupid, but so what? I could afford to look stupid. It's and Twitter has been fantastic with that. I know MJ he's in Godot at the moment. He's just sitting a lot in Godot and working there, learning all these things. He's probably going to be making a video soon on his experience in Godot, and he's just asking a lot of questions as well. And Twitter has been fantastic for that, like genuinely really, really good, because you have world-class experts at their subject who are so happy to share their topics. Does FlippedNormals have a Discord? FlippedNormals does have a Discord. Let's actually see if I can do that here. If I can find the Discord. Let's see here, we have a Discord. I'm just gonna be sending a link. I do apologize from people on Discord if there is an influx in members, but yeah, FlippedNormals has a pretty active Discord. It's really fun to be there. I'm there quite a lot actually. I think I check in every day. We have a heading sun for the morning, and we have a Morton moon for the evening time when people want to say good morning and good night. So here is a Discord for FlippedNormals. So if you're there, just like, yeah, you can introduce yourself in the introduce yourself channel, and you can post stuff in the work in progress channel, and yeah, just hang out there. It's quite a nice place. We've had it for 7 years now, since when we went full-time for FlippedNormals. When we were full-time, one of the first things we did was make a Discord. That was also when Discord was becoming a thing, right? It'd been around for a few more years, but that was when people were actually really getting into Discord. Okay, I'm gonna try to think about how I would do the cables here. How I would do that. So I'm gonna first, like, not the cables, his hair. I don't know what they are. I suppose it's hair. So I'm gonna be thinking about how this actually connects up. So I'll just check the wireframe here, and the dyne-top is way too low. So all good, we can just disable that. And I'm just gonna be thinking about how this actually connects up to the cheekbones maybe, because it looks like it actually goes a bit up like so. So whenever I'm designing anything, he definitely doesn't have ears, we can kill those. Whenever I'm designing something, I really try to think about the function of things, but also how things interlock as well. So let's go in here, hold on the shift key and enable down tempo, and then I'll see if I can just nuke the ear. Cool. The ear is getting nuked as we speak. I just played Silent Hill 2. Finished that, I think, last week. And my god, what a game. This is apropos nothing, by the way. I just wanted to say. Because that's... genuinely really enjoyed that. One of my all-time favorite games, actually. Just from those 20 hours I spent on that. Which apparently is quite a lot. Apparently a lot of people finished that game a lot earlier than 20 hours. But that is what it is. Then I started playing Resident Evil 2 Remake because I wanted to get more of that. And I didn't enjoy that. So I stopped playing Resident Evil 2. And now I'm back to Kingdom Come 2, which is one of my absolute all-time favorite games. I had surgery earlier this year, and that was just around when Kingdom 2 came out. Like, I think it was a week. That came out a week before. And I just sat with that when I was recovering for like 70 hours in like a few weeks. And just play that like crazy. Some days I was really not doing well. My brain was not functioning when I was recovering from surgery. So I was just brewing potions for a whole day. Just like picking berries and picking flowers and brewing potions. Amazing. I tried Alan Wake 2 actually. I didn't actually enjoy it. I think it was a fantastic game. I just don't think it was for me. I'm actually curious why I didn't enjoy it. I was just a bit bored. I think there was a mechanic there where you had to pick up a lot of clues from puzzles and place them in a mind palace and such. I was just bored. So I just don't think it was for me. Absolutely phenomenal game in terms of the graphics. I love the art direction of it. But yeah, it was just something about it that I didn't enjoy. So my girlfriend and I went from Alan Wake 2, because we had Spooky October, and we played spooky games, to playing Silent Hill 2. So good. Surgery, too much ZBrushing. I wish. I had a deviated septum, which just means that my nose was crooked on the inside, which meant it caused a lot of headaches, all sorts of issues. And yeah, I had surgery in February, and that fixed that. So my headaches have gone basically down to zero now. I used to have a lot of headaches. So if you are experiencing a lot of headaches and you have issues breathing, maybe you don't even know that you have issues breathing, but you think there might be something to that, just look into deviated septum, because that has been literally life-changing for me. Save. Yeah, this session here of this mentorship, or not mentorship session, this live session now has basically increased how much I've used Nomad for desktop by about 100%. I think I've used it legit for like 2 hours before or something, maybe an hour before. Yeah, an hour before, and now I'm like, what, 2 hours into the stream? So this session here has dramatically increased how much I've been doing it. So one thing I want to play around with now is actually going to be the his hair, because that's a really important feature. So I'm gonna be having a bit of a play with that. I'm not entirely sure how this is gonna go, but yeah, let's go with it. So I'm gonna be snapping up here, and I'm gonna be adding it to one of the ridges up here actually. Just gonna be around here, and then I'm not going to be validating it, which means I'm not going to be baking it down, because I need to make sure the design is working first. So I'm still going to be using the B-spline, which is by far my favorite way of doing this stuff. So we're going to do this and doing this, and then we can enable radius. Again, this is my all-time favorite tool for doing curves. Absolute mad tool. Like this is such a powerful tool. I've used this a few times now in this video. Well, in this live session, I suppose, for the teeth here, and now this here. All right, cool. All right, then I'm curious if I can just duplicate this right away. I want to mirror it as well, easy peasy, but I want to see if I can just straight up duplicate this one, if that continues my liveness of this, if that's a word. So let's see. Maybe. And tube tool. Hey, it works. Amazing. That's cool. So that means I can just go in there. I can just duplicate these guys around. This is something that you legit cannot do in other tools. You can do it in Blender, kinda. This is how I've been doing hair, or like this kind of stuff before. I've been using Blender for this because the curves are amazing. The amazing thing about Blender, which no other software has been able to do, is that curves have a radius, which means you can go in. It's the same thing here, right? But each vertex, each CV can actually have a radius, and you can twist it as well. So this is pretty similar to Blender in that regard, but this is easier to use because you don't have to make an object first. So that's fantastic. I wonder if there's a way to clone it right here as well. Maybe. Doesn't look like it. So I'll just go in here, and I'll just dock this here, and then we'll clone it. And then I'm going to be using my, let's say custom hotkey, not custom hotkey. I'm going to be using just a hotkey for this. Then we're going to go in here, tube, and do this. Like this is the legit one of the coolest tools I've used in 3D. Curves is just one of those things you use a lot, and it's always awkward when you have to do something like this and the tool kind of sucks at doing it, because then you have to find all these crazy workarounds. But the moment you have a tool that just legitimately works like this is so much easier. Also, this is all live, which is the coolest thing in the world. Is there a hotkey for duplicating as well? I'll have a look at this. This is one of the things I enjoy about it as well. I don't know if there's a hotkey. I'll know in a second. Clone. There's no hotkey. I will add a hotkey to this. Control Shift and D. There's now a hotkey for it. Cool. You can kind of see my live approach to how I'm doing 3D, where I'm like, I want to do the thing. Let's try to do the thing. Can I do the thing? Yes or no? If I can't do the thing, I'll Google it. I'll figure it out. I'll ask you guys. And if I can do the thing, happy days, right? So I'm just, oh, that's pretty cool. If I hold in a control key, it allows me to do this. I just experiment a lot when I'm doing 3D. Like that's just how I do it. Let's see if we can do a tube tool. There is no hotkey for this. Maybe the hotkey can be T. Control T. Let's see if this works now. If I click on this and then click on this, think this should work now. Cool. So now I have a hotkey for this. Control-Shift-D and Control-T for this. Cool. So now I have this. I can move this around like so. Man, this is cool. Maxon takes notes. Yeah, please do. Please do. Okay, let's try this again. Click here. Control-Shift-D. Hey, there we go. And then we have W for this. And there we go. Awesome. And then let's try Control-T. Okay, go in here. I'm not sure if that worked. I'll have to play with that a bit later on. The cool thing about this, since this is now live, is that the design here is still quite rough, but I can go in and I can validate this, or I can make sure this actually works. This actually connects up like so. So when I want to do the attachment points, this is all live. This is legitimately really cool. I haven't used the tube tool to this extent before, so this is fantastic. Again, this is why I like 3D, because it's like the purest version of creation. You can just do anything you want to. All right, and again, just a little reminder that we have a pretty nifty Black Friday sale ongoing, which should be here. Instead of promoting the FlippedNormals sale, I'm promoting Nomad. Great. So yeah, we have a really good sale, Black Friday. Tons of products. I think we have over 50,000 products that are on sale at the moment. We have just some really cool products here. It's always such a treat looking at what we have. The quality of the creators we have, I love it. I love looking at our creators. Such good artists. This is a cool product. This is the FlippedNormals portfolio kit for Blender, which allows you to simply just drag and drop models into it, and it's going to look awesome. This is a new version of the lighting kit we made years ago. Just that this here is it's completely rebuilt, right? Like there's nothing to do with the old kit. It's just a spiritual successor. Move in like so. Then we can go in the tube tool. We can go in here. This is of course symmetrical, so that's something to note, that you don't want this to be symmetrical, but that's fine for now, because it means that we can play around with this. So what I want to do now is I want to make this go more out like this. Because currently this is just straight down, and I want this to be a lot more volumetric as well. So we can look at I can see what some other guys are doing with this. Seems to be some references that are pushing this out a bit like this as well. It's almost like a Medusa snake. I'm really happy with this guy now. I think this is looking cool. I think my Control-T hotkey actually just created a new one. Yeah, that's what it did. It didn't actually go into the tool. That's fine. We can go in here and maybe I can go from calmer to more chaotic the further along I go. So the back is more chaotic, almost like there's a wind or something in his hair. Let's see what I end up with. I don't actually know where I'm going with this one. In the it looks like what's happening for the movie Badlands, I think it is. It looks like he has the hair goes backwards here. Like it's actually more like hair that's tied in the back. That's a pretty cool way to do it as well. This is such a powerful concepting tool. If you want to do a concept of this, like let's say I was working on the Predator movie and I was concepting. You have done similar things in the past, right? If I was doing that and I was using ZBrush, this would be such a pain to do. But now doing just the tubes here, this is so much easier to do. So I'm really enjoying this. It's really cool stuff. And I'm just trying to make the silhouette look better, because this is difficult to figure out. You want him to not look too silly. You want him to be quite a serious looking character. So yeah, this is where I'm just playing around with things. I don't know where this is going. Maybe we can make him go a bit forward, almost like they're tentacles that are going to be attacking. Like maybe, I don't know what they're like. I'm not a huge Predator guy, but maybe we can make them look a bit like they're almost sentient beings that could attack you as well, just to make this a bit scarier. I want to make sure it doesn't look like he just washed his hair and his hair is wet, because that's not very scary, is it? That's actually pretty cool. I like where this is going right now. All right, cool. So we are nearing 2.5 hours. I'll end this at 2.5 hours, which means that we have around 10 minutes left. So that means you guys need to get your questions in. This is so cool because this is all live. So I can just, because of the repeaters, I can just go in and I can change all of this. The way the repeaters are made is genuinely really, really, really clever. This is it's such an innovative way to do it. Any plans for a Nomad tutorial? Well, not really plans. I'm still just exploring it, right? Like, this is the first public thing I'm ever doing in Nomad. So, you know, seems like people are pretty engaged. We will have to see. I'll do a first impressions video in a few days. Probably on Wednesday, I'll record that. And then we'll see what the response is like. Because, you know, there needs to be a bit of... if the community response is good towards that, we'll probably do more. And we'll do a bit more regardless. It's not like we make one video and then... if it doesn't work, then we burn it down. But we just got to see what the community response is like. But I would love to do it. I would love to do Nomad tutorials. I just like new things. I just like new shiny things. It's cool. It's also really fun seeing that there is an actual genuine Nomad community as well. So the Discord is really nice. I've been on Discord a little bit. It's just really, really friendly people there. So I'm enjoying that a lot. I think it's starting to look quite cool. I'll try to play around a little bit with the, maybe with my custom clay brush, just hiding here somewhere. Clay HS. What I often do when it comes to character designs like this is I just do a contrast pass, basically, where I look at something going inwards and I make it go more inwards. I look at something going outwards and I make it go more outwards. And there is something here with the brushes that I'm not enjoying. Like a small brush like this, with the it barely does anything. Like if you want to actually turn this into a circle, kinda. I have to figure out a way to deal with the lazy mouse setting, because there's something here that prevents me from doing exactly what I want. It's like I'm missing some control, but I'm not sure entirely what that is. I just joined the stream a minute ago. What would you say are the main benefits Nomad has over ZBrush? Honestly, we can't avoid talking about price. Like that is a massive one. Like in a perfect world where everything was free, that would be a different thing. But the fact that Nomad costs less than for a perpetual license than a month of ZBrush, right? Like you cannot avoid talking about that. But with that said, if we don't talk about price, you assume that you have access to the software. One of them is the tube tool. Check this out. This is cool. It's a genuinely really, really cool tool. So if you probably missed that, you can go back about like 10 minutes to see that. But it's also just much, much, much easier to use than ZBrush. ZBrush is a clunky software. ZBrush is incredible, but there is no way around that. It is a clunky piece of software. It's which is one of the main complaints that they've had over the years. It is just needlessly difficult to use. It's one of those things that's really hard about teaching ZBrush, because there are so many contingencies you have to talk about. Like, all right, class, let's go and save. And they go to document and save, and they're like, no, do not do this. If you do this, you destroy your work. All right, cool, right? So, and then you have all these menus here, but actually only one of them, the only one you ever use is this one. So it's all around tools. What is a tool? Well, that's the model. What is a subtool? Well, that's subtools, but is this a subtool? Like it's just confusing. Do you save as a tool? What does that save? What does project save? Like there were just a lot of things that you have to memorize. They're not intuitive. It's not intuitive, the difference between a project and a tool. A subtool is not intuitive. What is an object here? Easy peasy. It's just an object. You don't have to think about that. It means if you aren't using Nomad for like 2 years, and you go back to it, you're going to know what an object is. Like you're not going to be confused as to what those things are. One thing is in ZBrush, for instance, is that everything is since everything is based on the subtool or tool itself. Well, actually based on subtools. That means that everything is based around that. Like the undo stack is subtool dependent, and that also means if you delete a subtool, well, you cannot get that subtool back because the undo stack is saved in the subtool and the subtool doesn't exist anymore. So that means that certain things are non-undoable, which is insane to me. So ZBrush is quirky. ZBrush is very powerful, but it is very quirky. So it's also production tested and it's proven all that. Nomad is not. I don't know of a single production that will be using Nomad instead of ZBrush. that's probably not where it's going either, but the fact that you can't export it out a displacement map from Nomad is definitely a big minus. You don't obviously have something like CModeler. You do have zero measure down here, quarter measure, but it's very expensive because you have to buy it as a separate plugin. That's how it works in ZBrush as well. You just don't know about it because it's Max on Pixologic. They would have a deal with the people, I guess, that would have that would do that, but it is a separate plugin. It's exactly the same plugin, but for iPad, it's cheap. For desktop, it's really not cheap. Do something to keep in mind. Other differences, the poly count is higher. I haven't actually tested the poly count here too much, but I reckon that the poly count will be much higher on desktop. For ZBrush, the poly count is definitely higher on the iPad compared to Nomad. Even for iPad as well. Like I've tested iPad versus iPad, like for ZBrush iPad and Nomad iPad. So that's definitely something to note. ZBrush definitely is more feature rich. No debate about that. But yeah, like both are fantastic. It depends what you want to use it for. Like if you're a professional artist, it doesn't really matter too much that ZBrush is a bit clunkier because you just got to suck it up. Honestly, it doesn't really matter. It is just a tool you're using, and you can't use Nomad instead of ZBrush because you're going to be receiving ZBrush files anyway, right? So you probably need to just have a license with ZBrush, and if you have a license with ZBrush anyway, the cost is irrelevant because then you're going to be paying that no matter what. So if I was still working in the film industry, or if I was entering games or something, I would still be using ZBrush, right? Like there's no way around that. It is a stronger tool. Nomad is an underdog, which of course gives it a bit of an underdog status here, but ZBrush is still a more powerful tool. But the fact that ZBrush is so hard to learn compared to this is also something that bodes really well in the favor of the future of Nomad. I wish Stefan would let you use curves to deform existing objects. That would be cool. All right, that is where I'm going to be ending it. We are going to be streaming more this week. When I say me, I mean probably me. But I want to take this guy further. I wasn't actually sure entirely where I would take this guy in today's stream. In the beginning, I said I wasn't actually going to do a Predator. Then I said I was going to do one, and then I didn't, and then I did. So I'm a little indecisive when it comes to it because I'm not that comfortable in Nomad at this point. So it's going to be a little bit of trial and error here. But yeah, I like where I took this guy. This is about, what is this? Probably about an hour and a half, a bit more than that, of sculpting, hour and 45 minutes of sculpting. You guys can go back and verify that in the chat or in the stream. I started from this guy here. I just exported this guy from ZBrush, which is a base mesh I've been using for some time there. And yeah, let me know if you guys have any final questions. If not, I will say goodbye. I'll see you guys later. All right, with that, I will bid you adieu. So see you guys later. Bye-bye.